name's Dr. Jim Feher, and I'm a professor in the Division of Computing at McKendree University. And one of the things I want to talk with you today about is how society is dealing with the public and private nature of data. And technological innovations have happened and services are provided that a lot of times we don't think about the implications of how we share the data. All of the information that we share today is transferred over a network and usually stored on servers at some third party, a company, a government agency. All of that information other people have access to. Traditionally, society evolved with this implication of privacy as as a right, and a lot of the law is evolved around that. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution sort of implies that we have access to our own information, and this is kind of being stood on its head as society grapples with how we deal with these new technologies. When your email is sent somewhere to another person, it's not just the other person that gets it. It is going over that network and being stored on someone else's computer or a third party's computer. Your Facebook postings, your files that you share in the cloud that you put on within Google or Yahoo, all of those things are available somewhere else. Those can be used for positive purposes. What corporations like to do is use that information to send you targeted advertising, so that when you go surf and you see an advertisement, it relates to something directly that you have an interest in, because they've been able to look at the information that they have on you. The downside of this is that people know more about you, as they can use things in a good way. People who get access to the information can use it in a bad way to track you with your cell phone as you walk around. You basically have a GPS in your device on your person that tells people where you are at every minute of the day, and you could have a whole history of years of this information where people could predict your actions, what you're going to buy, what you're going to order for lunch. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It is a little creepy at times. As all this technology is being developed, what we need to do as a society is to try to reconcile our past history of this expectation of privacy with the reality of how we use technology today, and where our data is, and realize where our data is being stored. A lot of the laws just don't exist. There's a law just proposed by Senator Franken to deal just with this mobile issue that I'd highlighted with cell phones. In the short term, what can we do to try and protect our privacy? I think the main thing is to understand what the public area is. Certainly anything that's public, you should have no expectation of privacy there. If you post something on Facebook, if you write a blog, people are going to have access to that, and you should recognize that that could stay around forever. However, even private things and messages that you send to a particular person, those can stick around forever as well, just like that letter you may have sent someone. So you always want to think twice about what you put in writing. You still are going to use technology, so you will use it with the places you shop with. In terms of that, in the short term, what you want to make sure is that if you're dealing with an agency online, that there's encryption involved. When you're surfing the web, when you're buying anything, make sure that the data is encrypted. You know, the little lock and key that's at the bottom of your browser, make sure that that's active if you're going to your online banking site or you're purchasing anything. Anytime that your personal data is being accessed, try and make sure that that's the case. In addition to making sure that things are encrypted, and that you're actually at the website that you want to be at, that you're not going to someone else's site that looks like yours, is to make sure you have a strong password. Try and make sure you pick something that's easy to remember but hard for other people to guess. You might pick a phrase that relates to something that you would think about but isn't necessarily associated with you. Something like, I like to have a very strong password to use. You could use the I, the L, the number 2 for 2, and so on, to get yourself a password that looks like a total jumble of letters, which is exactly what you want. You want something that you're not going to write down, that you'll remember, that you don't have to tell other people. In the long term, I think that people just need to make sure you're aware of the technology you're using and make sure that you're aware of the implications of the fact that this may stay around. If you don't like how a certain company might be using your information, if you don't trust Google or Yahoo, then maybe you should act accordingly and maybe not use their services. If you don't like how Walmart might process your data to profile you in terms of your purchases, maybe you should think about whether you want to patronize that particular organization. Government-wise, we should all be active and understand how the information is being used and be attentive to how the laws are being put in place that deal with these things today. So just personal responsibility in terms of how things are progressing.